actually got a list of 5 worries of reasons why this movie might not work. Should I just go down the list?
Yeah.
So, number 1 is this is telling the same joke for the 3rd time, right? So first Deadpool was very refreshing, very different from everything else that was coming out, and 2 was not quite the same, but leaning in the same direction, right? And then 3 is this just more of the same? It does like the humor has changed in the last 8+ years. We've seen that movie twice at this point. Can it work a 3rd time? Which leads me to my second point, which is that every trailer I've seen, and here in the UK we've got these Wolverine and Deadpool ads where they tell you to turn off your phone, right? And it's got the Deadpool humor in it. It all feels very tired and very forced. Like the jokes are very obvious, at least to me, and there's no shock value to it anymore. It feels very scripted, very formulaic. And in addition to that, Hugh Jackman looks kind of tired as well, and that kind of makes it like. I'm not saying he's too old to play the role, right? But he's been playing that role for 25 years. He's not the same as he was in 2000, and I think he's been great in that role every time he's played it. But like he just looks tired. And maybe that's just the trailers, maybe that's just the posters, but the entire thing looks a little bit like it's running on empty. Reason number 3, you've kind of alluded to that: Disney interference and too many expectations. So Disney has a lot riding on this, right? And this is the first time a Deadpool movie has been made in which Disney is in control, right? And reportedly, they are giving Deadpool a lot of free reign. But ultimately, it's still part of the bigger project, right? So can Deadpool really function as part of Disney, right? That would be my concern.
Sorry, are you talking about the character or how the movie fits in?
How the movie's made.
Sorry?
Like how the movie's made. Like you need a certain amount of freedom and just chaos to make this kind of movie with this kind of humor. And with this much writing on it, can they actually do that? Can they actually tell a joke that actually takes a risk? Because if they offend somebody, or just the joke doesn't land or whatever, like the cost of this is much higher than it used to be for the other 2 movies. Mm-hmm. And is there some suit at some point that says, no, don't do this joke, don't take this risk, we need this to work? Mm-hmm. So there would be one concern. Number 4 is it's definitely a cameo parade, right? The trailers have made it very clear that this is making MCU references, this is making X-Men references, this is making general Marvel references. X-23 is coming back from Logan, which makes no sense, not a whole lot of sense, but it's a multiverse story, right? So it's just full of familiar stuff, and there may be too much of it, and there may be too much of it to tell a coherent story. And if you don't tell a coherent story, then it's just a pile of jokes, and whether it works or not is its own story. And then number 5, and I'm almost done, is it's more multiverse stuff. Like from the trailers, it's clear it's a multiverse story, and that has not worked for the past 5 years, or for the most part, and they're doing it again. And that's a concern, because they're trying to turn the ship around, but they're sailing in the same seas.
Actually, it's funny that you say about the story and the trailers and this and the other. So I don't know if you saw the most recent trailer that they put out, the final trailer that they put out for it, where it had a lot more of a serious tone, and it had a little bit more about sort of kind of Deadpool's motivation and stuff like that in there. And actually, that's the trailer that I enjoyed the most out of everything that was put out. All the jokes aside and this and the other, they're kind of like you said, they're kind of what you expect from the character. And to be honest, in my opinion, if I receive more of what I got from Deadpool 1 and 2, but the story, as in like the jokes that he's telling and like the quipping and stuff like that, but the story overall is good, then I'm not mad at the jokes. I'm not mad at having some of the kind of like same jokes being told in there. And also, I'm actually not that much of a hater of the multiverse stuff. I know people I know it's not been done well so far, and I know people have their thoughts on it. But people talk about like the stakes and this, that, and the other. But I feel like as long as you're able to write a character that people care about enough within the story, that I care about this specific version of the character, forget about all the other kind of multiverse versions of the character, then I'd feel like if I'm watching a movie and a character died or something happened to the character, then I feel like I would feel it in the movie, despite knowing that 101 other of the same characters are out there.
Yeah, I think you can absolutely tell a good multiverse story. I'm looking at it more like this is not so much about what I would enjoy, although I can't wait for the multiverse stuff to end because I think it's way overplayed and has a very low success rate. But my concern is mostly about if this is the one that's supposed to bring people back in, and then I see, oh, it's a multiverse story again. How many people will say, oh, it's still the same stuff, right? If it's supposed to be a clean break, it's not probably not supposed to be a clean break, but if it's supposed to be a start of something new, but they're doing the same thing they've been doing for 5 years, I think a lot of some number of people are going to stay at home. The question is just how many.
Some are, but then if it's ushering in the X-Men into the Marvel universe, which people have been planning for a long time, then it's also going to create excitement for some of the people that want to see your Charles Xavier's or your new version of Wolverine and this and the other in the MCU.
Yeah, absolutely. It could absolutely could work, right? We have no idea what the balance is going to be between old jokes, new jokes, serious character stuff, cameos. I think it all comes down to the mix. Yeah. And if they get that balance wrong, then it could very well fall on its face. And I guess we'll see a week from now.
Daniel, just to kind of go over your second point about Hugh Jackman looking tired. People might disagree with you because I saw a recent article where it said grown men were crying when they saw him in the yellow suit. So it looks like nostalgia might be a big factor as well to the success of this film. Would we say that's a bad thing or good thing?
Good question. It can't just be nostalgia, right? It can't just be that he wears the yellow suit. But I think it comes down to what aspect is important to how many people, and how do those overlap, right? Because I couldn't care less about the X-Men costume or whether how comic accurate the X-Men costume is. But at the same time, Deadpool has a history of doing the stuff that both Fox and Disney have been afraid of and just doing it. Like the example being Russian Colossus, right? Like none of the other movies ever touched that. And Deadpool just did it. And Colossus is a highlight in those movies, right? So they have a good track record with this stuff. But I think there just has to be more to it than just, hey, do you recognize this thing?